What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Ryan Pineda Show, where we talk all things money, real estate, and entrepreneurship. And in today's episode, I'm going to teach you a technique that's going to help you become 4 times more productive. So a lot of you might be sitting there wondering, well, I want to be more productive, but how are you saying it's going to make me 4 times more productive? Why 4 times? Why not 5? Why not twice? What's the meaning of 4? Don't worry, I'm gonna get into that. Many people, especially entrepreneurs, are on the quest to become more productive. A lot of us are probably asking ourselves, how should we spend our day? If we all have the same 24 hours, why do some people have way more success than others? And it all just comes down to how we spend our time. So if we could figure out how to spend our time on the things that brought us the most value, that would definitely increase our productivity. So the goal should be, how do I identify the things that bring me the most value? And I've thought a lot about this ever since I read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, almost 10 years ago. First off, Tim Ferriss is a genius for coming up with that book. Who wouldn't want to work 4 hours a week? But the premise of the book wasn't that you had to work 4 hours a week. I would get bored working 4 hours a week. It was really about how do you spend your time so efficiently that you're only doing the things that make you a lot of money. And he introduces us to a philosophy called Pareto Principle. It's also known as the 80-20 rule. Now, many people have heard of the 80-20 rule, but they don't actually understand what it is. Essentially, all it means is that a very small percentage of the things we do generate the most results. The rest of our time is spent doing things that don't really produce much value. So I'll give you some examples of this here in a second, but let me give you the history behind it. Let's look at what Investopedia has to say about Pareto Principle. So it says the original observation of the Pareto Principle was linked to the relationship between wealth and the population. According to what Pareto observed, 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. After surveying a number of other countries, he found the same applied abroad. The Pareto Principle is an observation that things in life are not always distributed evenly. So Pareto noticed this wealth gap essentially in the late 1800s. And when we look at the world and especially America today, we see that the wealth gap still exists. We talk about the wealth gap in America all the time, how the ultra wealthy own the majority of the wealth. And what's interesting is over 100 years later, when we look at America today and the rest of the world, this principle still applies in terms of real estate. There's many debates about the wealth gap. It continues to widen. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and this is the principle we're talking about here, where 20% of the population owns 80% of the assets. And that's probably not the exact amount for America. If anyone knows, definitely comment below. I haven't researched it, but I know enough to say that it is somewhat close. And we see this principle play out not just in wealth, but in all aspects of business and personal life. In an article on Forbes, they gave some examples of this in business. 20% of the sales reps generate 80% of total sales. I can tell you, I've personally seen this in action. When I was out there getting deals, I accounted for the vast majority of them for my company. As I've stepped away, we've had other people step up, and we definitely have a skewed perception of who's getting the majority of the sales. Example is 20% of customers account for 80% of total profits. I think you would see this in many companies. Many small businesses rely on a select few vendors, a select few customers, and that's what really drives their business. It's very rarely evenly distributed. Another example would be 20% of the most reported software bugs cause 80% of software crashes. I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know how true this is, but I would believe it. And lastly, 20% of patients account for 80% of healthcare spending. And then to look at it even deeper, 5% of patients account for a full 50% of all expenditures. That I can definitely believe. Really healthy people are not spending a lot of money. The really sick people are the ones racking up hospital bills. And that's really how the healthcare system is designed. The young people pay more than they should. The older people don't pay as much as they should. If they did, the old people wouldn't be able to afford insurance. Young people would barely be paying anything when they don't even need insurance. So it makes sense why it's set up the way it is. The author even brings up some funny personal insights where this principle applies. He says he owns 5 amazing suits, but 80% of the time he just wears his black suit. Then he says he has 15 rooms in his house, but he spends 80% of his time in his bedroom, family room, and office. And that makes sense. In my house, I'm pretty much only in my living room and my bedroom. That's about it. So even though I know that the philosophy is true, I tried to think about it for my life and my business. How is it playing out currently? So when I take a look at my businesses, I see this ratio playing out perfectly. So I have 5 core streams of income: my real estate investing company, my real estate education company, my real estate brokerage, my CPA company, and then my personal brand. That would be YouTube and other endorsement type deals. And the real estate investing company ironically makes 80% of my revenue. It's 1/5, which is 20% of my companies, and it makes 80%. And for the last few years, it's always been that way. But a shift may be coming. If I can really blow up this YouTube thing, personal brand could potentially make more than I make with real estate investing. So maybe the 80-20 will skew in a different way later on. It would be really nice to maintain my real estate investing income, but then have it only be part of the 20% of my income because the other one is so high. I can't wait for that day. The other part of my business where I notice this playing out is that 20% of our deals produce 80% of our income. If we do 100 deals a year, you can believe that the top 20 are gonna produce the majority of the income. Mainly because those are gonna be our home run type deals. And that means the other 80 deals are gonna be singles, doubles, and also losses. So the losses are gonna wipe out the singles and the doubles. So the deals that we actually lose on are gonna offset some of those singles and some of those doubles, while the top 20 don't have any losses. They're just our biggest wins. So it's interesting that it plays out on the deal side as well. In my personal life, I can relate to the clothes. I got a whole big wardrobe, but it seems like I wear the same 2 pairs of jeans every week. I wear the same shirts and the same suit jackets every week, even though I have way more. So I can definitely relate to that on the personal side. What's also interesting is that when I look at books and masterminds and self-development I do, 20% of those really have a big impact on me. The other 80%, not so much. So one of my goals this year is to read 1 book per week. If I read 52 books, I can guarantee you that 10 of those books are gonna be really, really good, and I'm gonna remember them really well. The other 40 books, I might have got something out of them, but it's not gonna be super memorable. I'm a part of a few masterminds and I go to different events. The majority of the stuff I hear, I probably already know, and it's not gonna really push the needle too much for me. But all I'm doing is listening for that one thing that I currently don't know or that I need to be reminded of that's gonna make a huge impact in my life and in my business. Even when looking at this YouTube channel, I can pinpoint the 20% that provide the most value. Right now, me filming this is what provides the most value to the user. And filming this only takes me 20 to 30 minutes. All the editing, the posting, the writing of the descriptions, the thumbnail, the title, all of those things take the other 80% of the time, and they no doubt are important and add value, but without me filming this, none of that can exist. So if I wanna use my time as efficient as possible, I can film this because I'm the only one who can, and then I can delegate off that other 80% and have someone else edit it, have someone else post it, have someone else make the thumbnail. So you see the 80-20 rule playing out here on YouTube, and the reason I've been able to put out so much content is because I follow the 80-20. If I didn't, I couldn't put out a video almost every day. It'd be impossible, I don't have enough time. So those are just a few examples of how we see it in life and how I see it in my personal life and business. And I want you guys to think about, where can you apply it to your life? Are you an aspiring YouTuber? Are you an aspiring business person? Do you own a business? Are you trying to start one? What is that 20% of action that you can take that is really gonna push you forward? And then what's that other 80% that's maybe not as important that you can delegate out? If you can focus on just doing the top 20%, you're gonna go way further than somebody who's trying to do it all by themselves. And I can tell you guys, for me, I'm always looking about, how do I get the most value out of my time? Am I doing something that is worth that 20%? How do I do the 20% in a bunch of my different ventures that I've got going on? How can I delegate the other 80%? That's how I think, and that's how a lot of successful people operate. So start thinking about your life like that, guys. If you got value out of this, do me a big favor, go hit that like button. If you haven't already, go hit the subscribe button. Go follow me on all the socials. I'm active on there daily. And until next time, take care.